Hello and welcome to Women in the Coaching Arena podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Lott, a business mentor and ICF accredited coach, and I help coaches to build brilliant businesses. I know that when you prepare to enter the arena, there is fear, self-doubt, comparison, anxiety, uncertainty. You can tend to armor up and protect yourself from vulnerability. In this podcast, I'll be sharing honest, not hype, practical and emotional tools to support you to make the difference that you're here for. Dare greatly, you belong in this arena. Hello, welcome to episode 109 of Women in the Coaching Arena. I am so glad you are here. I'm delighted to share a case study conversation with the wonderful Merve Hokamp. Merve has worked with me in 2 of my programs so far and is an absolute joy because she brings so much enthusiasm. She actively implements, tries new things. So I'm delighted to share her story with you on how she built her coaching business after leaving her previous employment at Google and literally building it from the ground up. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Hi, Merve. Thank you so much for agreeing to reflect on your journey with me. It was an absolute joy to work with you in 2 of my programs so far. So I cannot wait to hear, because usually these conversations I hear more than I've ever heard before about amazing wins and all the things that have happened. So please do share a bit about you and what you do.
Yeah. Hi, Joe, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. About me, Merve is my name. I'm originally from Istanbul, Turkey, but have lived all around the world pretty much. But now I'm based in Dublin, Ireland. I have about 11 years of a corporate career in tech. I was at Google, and before that, I was in management consulting, which is where I started my career. And I now run my own coaching business. So I have left my tech job to start my executive and business coaching business, Lead Rise Coaching. I help leaders grow their businesses, build high performing teams, and advance their careers.
I'm trying to think back now as to exactly when you joined the program. I know you did offer to market first. Thinking back to probably 12 months-ish, maybe a bit longer or so ago, can you remember when that was and what was going on for you at the time?
Yeah, I mean, I was following you for a while before I decided to join. First offered to market, as you've said, and then I fell in love with it, the process and your offering, and I joined businesses coaching right after that. Before I decided to join offer to market, I think I was maybe the last person to join at midnight, right before the program kicked off. I thought really naive and really frustrated because I thought, look, I have leadership experience myself. Currently, I help leaders. I have studied business. I have an MBA. I was on the business side of the tech world that I was in. So I have the experience. I have the theory. I have the education. I was a consultant before. So I've got that as well. And then, of course, I had my ICF accreditation and everything. So the coaching, I have it covered. Now I make the cake. I have all the ingredients. I'm going to go for it and it's going to work and it's going to be great. Why wouldn't I get all the clients, wow them, have these amazing streamlined processes, make a lot of money and have a great impact in the world, right? Turns out that's not how it works. And that's what your program gave me. You need to understand how business of coaching works as a process and what results you're after and what the people who can support you are. You need the structure of the framework, and you also need community. You also need somebody who's an expert who can handhold you sometimes, but also, even though you're the one who's doing it yourself, who can champion you, who can support you, who can cheer you on. So I think before I joined the program, I was oblivious a little bit. And in terms of the reality of it, I did have clients. I did have my business set up. I did have some processes, which looking back, I don't know if I want to call them processes compared to what I have now, but I did, I had set it up. And I was very much feeling like a person who had friends, because those were my friends' friends were my clients. I had maybe 5 or 6 clients at the time when I joined. I know you'll ask the question. I'm sure it looks different now.
That's such a joy to hear, because I think there's so much resistance, especially if people have a marketing background or a specific business background or do business coaching themselves. Then it's easy to think that you don't need that support because you know all the stuff. So it's really powerful to hear that, because it's just hard to do it for yourself, isn't it?
100%. And also, there's too much to do, not enough time. So you need to think about, okay, what do I do today? And what do I not do today? And what's the next step after I to do today? You're kind of walking in the dark and you need maybe a flashlight so that you can see the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I hear you. So you joined the program, which is amazing. Tell me what was most helpful for you from the program.
Lots of things. One, I would say the frameworks. It was so valuable for me to understand the step by step process, to know that it's validated and proven. And I followed your step by step process, which I really appreciated. Also, with that process, I wasn't asking myself all these questions of, am I doing the right thing? I just trusted it. That was really, really valuable. I think also, you don't know what you don't know. Since your program, I've been on lots of podcasts, and that started with one of our calls. I remember when we were talking about exponential growth, and I think you mentioned, oh, podcasts. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. I listen to podcasts. I could be on podcasts. How do I even go about it? It just never had occurred to me before. Similarly, with my social media marketing, I was doing it before too, but I didn't realize how often or what are some compelling posts. When it was told to me or we workshopped it together, I understood it immediately, but it just wasn't something I had thought about before. There's a lot of unknown unknowns, and the program helped shed a light on those. So the process and the wisdom. Secondly, of course, the community, because, like I'm an extroverted person. I'm sure that's going to come as a surprise to you. I don't do much talking in your program, but I'm an extroverted person. So I think when I was at Google, for example, it's a huge company, right? We had about 10,000 people in Dublin at the moment in the office. I worked with global teams, so I was always around people, particularly as an extroverted person, but in general too. Of course, it's good to sound check certain things and brainstorm together. And I think that's been really valuable because as a business owner, a solopreneur, it can get lonely sometimes. I think that support is really valuable, and then the ideation was really valuable. And thirdly, I hope this doesn't sound very sappy, but I think you're an inspiration. I think you don't just talk the talk, but you walk the talk. You are very tech savvy, for example. That's super inspirational. I remember one of the calls you were like, oh, so I just discovered that there's this function that when you're doing your own work, because we would have these 5-minute, 10-minute, like, okay, now that we have the exercise, like go and jot down your notes type of like, let's all be quiet, do our thing, and then come back and debrief in your program. And you were like, okay, well, we have this new feature on Zoom that I can now play music while you're doing that for inspiration. And you played music. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So how do I do that for my Zoom participants, for my group calls, for my coachees? Is it a huge thing that you can play music on Zoom? No, but I think of every call that we have, and also you're also very involved outside of the calls, there's something that you're learning. There's something that you're doing that is making you grow that you share with us. Now I know we do LinkedIn, for example. You're doing a LinkedIn accelerator. So we're kind of joining your journey because you want to share, and we're learning from you and getting inspired by what you're doing. That to me is really important. I didn't want a mentor who would just tell me what to do, but who would also show me and inspire me. And I think I found that in you.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love it. When I reflect back on programs I've been in, I've actually learned more from watching the person run the program and the back end and the contract I receive, or like all of the stuff like really inspires you and helps you think about how you can apply that to your business as well. So thank you. That's the best thing I think anyone's ever said to me, because it's exactly what I want to do.
Oh, it's so true. Also, the supports that you give, you have the support from the program and the unity of like, we're all in this together type of camaraderie. Other programs or courses have the teacher, the trainer, the facilitator, and they're there for you, but they're not there for you individually. They're there for you as a group. And you might be lucky to ask your question and get it answered on the call. Whereas for you, you hold space for the group, but you're also available for us individually. I know that there have been times when I had my first client who I got from Google. I messaged you immediately, and I think maybe it was a Friday evening. I was like, Joe, no rush, but I just had to tell you that this happened, that somebody came to me. I'm not just a person who has friends. Like, no, I'm a real business. There are people who are random and coming to me. You celebrated it with me, and then you told me, okay, so now that you have that, you can do this other thing, and I'm so excited about this other thing. And then I sent you another voice message about what I had planned. I think you're there for us to celebrate our wins, but also you're thinking with us individually and sharing your own experience. You're also experimenting and trying things yourself, learning for us. It's that Brene Brown thing, right? You're yourself vulnerable, or you're yourself pushing your own limits. And so that in itself is very inspirational and extremely supportive.
Wow. Goodness me, I feel like crying, especially with the Brené Brown reference, because obviously that's the podcast inspiration name. So thank you so, so much, Merve. It means a lot to me. And if we're now thinking 12 months or so on from when we first met, what does life look like now?
I feel like I've come a long way from being a solopreneur to now I feel like a CEO. I can proudly and vulnerably say I have a streamlined business. One of the goals that I had set for myself was that my business was going to be making money and generating leads while I sleep. That was really important to me. And right now that is happening. Now I have plans to really grow that and streamline that for the future. But right now I get my leads for new clients from my group programs and from my one-to-one coaching. I also have corporates reaching out to me. So that's really valuable to me. I feel very proud to have done that. And I think that took lots of effort, lots of energy, and also lots of systems and lots of maybe self-belief, which you helped me a lot with because I didn't always believe in myself. But I think just showing up consistently has really paid off now. In terms of numbers, which I am data and number driven, come from a Google background, I have 20, give or take, regular clients right now. I have 4x that. I did my year-end reflection last year, and I have 2.5x my revenue for my business since a year before. I feel like I have systems right now, and I have simplified my offerings. I think that was one of the things that you helped me with at the beginning, because I was like, okay, here are the 17 things that I'm doing. What should I do, Joe? And you were like, okay, first of all, just take a chill pill and do one and do it really well. And then we can go from there. So I think now I have my one-to-one coaching. I have a group coaching program called Momentum. That's for leaders. And then I also offer workshops for corporates and also for individuals. So those are my 3 things that I do. And I have systems around them that I have fine-tuned. So I feel a lot more confident. I have a lot more ownership and control and systems, operational efficiency.
Love it. And I actually don't know the answer to this question, so I'm really interested to ask it, because I know you have young children, like younger than mine. I would love to know hour-wise and freedom-wise, what does your working week generally look like?
I don't know if you like the answer to this. I do love what I have. I can always do better, but I actually work a lot. However, I have some non-negotiables. For instance, on Wednesdays after 2, I am with my daughter. That's a half day for me. I pick her up from school. I bring her to our activities. We have a, mom and daughter lunch or chat hour. She's 7. And so that's something that I always keep, and I don't care how much demand there is or how much I have to do. That's just there. And that's really important to me. I'm always done at a certain hour every day so that I can spend time with my kids before they go to bed. And that's like a good 2 to 3 hours. And I'm there with them, present. Some evenings I work. I also work with a global client base, and I'm based in Dublin, Ireland time zone. Sometimes it's good that I have evening hours for my US clients. And some days I start earlier for my APAC clients. I flex around, but I also have my own non-negotiables that, certain evenings on Tuesday evenings, for example, I go for my swimming. And again, I don't care that, my husband earlier this week, for example, was traveling, but then I asked a friend to come and watch the kids while they're sleeping so that I can go to my swimming. So I make sure that I have my yoga, swimming in, my time with my kids in, but I do not really keep a strict, I guess, like I only work during the day or I don't work weekends type of thing. So I have infinite flexibility and freedom,
Oh,
to
interesting.
be honest.
Yeah, no, please don't feel bad. I think it's good for people to know the honest truth that it takes a lot of work when you first start, especially. Like, eventually it will become less, but it's really important. And I don't ever want to attract the type of client who is out there going, oh, I can just do 2 hours a week and generate an sustainable, long term, great salary from a coaching business. It's not going to work. I don't want you as a client. You need to be committed and you need to put the work in. So thank you for sharing it.
That's it. I mean, you got to be realistic. And maybe we'll talk about it when we talk about my plans for the future. But I do want to systemize a bit more to cut the overhead so that I can be more efficient, so that I can actually spend my time doing more strategic stuff as opposed to rescheduling appointments and sending contracts to my coaches. I really want to systemize that and I want my systems to just run that. I want to use more AI. Of course, that's a big thing in this day and age, isn't it? So that I can reduce the time spent on operational overhead and spend more time thinking about my business developing, strategizing, and my vision. That's always something that I will continue to tweak and better as we go. But initially, so a lot you don't know that you don't know, and a lot that you can't delegate to AI or another human before you actually understand what it takes. I don't want a coaching platform to take over my onboarding because I don't know what works in my onboarding. So I use a lot of platforms and a lot of tech, but maybe they're a little bit more piecemeal right now. And I've tried a few things and now I have a system for, so now 2025, that's something that I'm actively working on to systemize that and get my agentic AI to take over so that I can save time and put that time into other things. But it does take a while to get to a point where you can eliminate, delegate, automate this kind of work so that you can spend less time on things and make more money.
Love it. And what would you say is your biggest takeaway from the program?
Ah, there's so many. Maybe this is too high level, but that being vulnerable, and again, that maybe goes to the Brené Brown and experimentation and being open to new things. And that's just really important. It does take time and energy. You need people around you, you need resources around you, but you will do it. It's possible. You just need to start somewhere, get the right people around you, get the right support, get the right resources, and then you're off to the races. It's going to work out for you. I think the biggest thing that I got then is the process and the confidence uh, to make it happen.
Love it. Thank you so much, Merve. Tell me more as to what's next for you.
I think scale is my big thing. So I have two things for 2025. Spaciousness is one, which I know that I've mentioned that to you before. So I want to feel a bit more spacious. And that means I have to create systems or optimize my systems so that I can cut the switching cost of all the things I'm doing and have more blocks of time where I'm strategizing, visioning, and creating new things. I think that's my big thing. Specifically and concretely, I'm now doing planning at the beginning of the year. I have 4 workshops, so once per quarter, that are open to public. My next one that's coming up is going to be on productivity and managing your energy and time. more corporate engagements this year that I am planning. So lots of training, lots of workshops that I'm really, really excited about, and some partnerships also in that department. I'm getting my Lego Serious Play Facilitator certification now so that I can offer that to corporates. So I'm really excited about that because I'm big on, playful and grounded leadership through hands-on experiencing as well. So lots of corporate work, and I think just continuing on with my one-to-one work with my clients too, because I really, really enjoy that, because there's something very special that you get from that individual relationship that is perfectly personalized.
I haven't heard of Lego Play. Is that a qualification, or tell me more?
It's a qualification. So it is from Lego, like Lego from Denmark. And the overarching idea is that, you never stop to, or maybe it's a should. You never should stop to be a kid. Remember when we were kids and we used to play with our Legos and kind of lose track of time. And, Legos are really good because it will inspire creativity, but at the same time, you're building something. So it's very hands-on and involved. It needs to be robust, but it needs to be flexible because there's a few pieces. So there's a lot that goes into it. And then if you're doing it with other people, of course, then like teamwork and collaboration, and then soft skills around how do you communicate? How do you focus on the process, results, and people? So that qualification and certification for trainers, and then I can offer it to corporate leadership teams where they come together. And there's different simulations and different cases and scenarios that you put them in, and then they have to communicate, create, and build.
God, that sounds so exciting. Thank you for sharing.
From the receiving end too, I love it because you get to put yourself in a situation where you maybe discover yourself a little bit and your own skill sets and your shortcomings as well as your strengths in a team environment.
Yeah, love it. And finally, would you recommend the program? And if so, who to?
I recommend your program 100%. Of course, I do. It's been a game changer for me. And I recommend it to everybody who is at the beginning of their journey, but also people who are later on in their journey, because you really need the support of an expert, you need the inspiration, and you need accountability from other people to succeed in business. Just coming from my personal experience, I speak to a lot of people who are saying like, well, you don't really need that, or they might be in a position that they have certain experiences or qualifications that they feel will be sufficient, which they're good enough, but they're just not enough. And I think doing your program has really accelerated my progress. I think I would have been here maybe without your program, but in like 10 years as opposed to in a year. So I think that people should focus on that return on investment. And that's investment in time as well as investment of energy and heart.
And if you were going to give some advice to your former self, perhaps if there's someone listening that's earlier in their journey, a year back, perhaps from where you are now, what advice would you give them?
I would say trust the process, be yourself, and show up for yourself. That's my ABC that I talk to my coaches about. Authenticity. So you have to be authentically yourself. Don't do something that's fake. There are these coaches on social media that might say, work for 2 hours and make your 7 figures tomorrow. I don't even know if that's possible, but I find that that's not me. You have to be authentically yourself and do what's authentically organic for you. My B is believe in yourself, trust the process. C is really important, the consistency, right? You have to keep showing up. Even if you have 1 like on your LinkedIn post, you have to show up again the next day. The next day, surely enough, then you get like 1,000 likes because you just showed up. It's that compounding effect. So that's what I would say to people who are just starting out.
Oh, thank you so much, Merve. You were an absolute joy to work with, and so glad that we are keeping in touch with my LinkedIn goal and co-coaching and sharing all of that journey as well.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a lovely conversation, and it has also given me the opportunity to reflect. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you, Merve. I hope you enjoyed reflecting on Merve's journey. I love her final point with the ABC. A, authentically yourself. B, belief in yourself, and C, consistency. They are wonderful ingredients for a successful coaching business. If you would like my help, as Merve did, in implementing all of the things, then do get in touch. You will find the details to the Business of Coaching program in the show notes. And I have consistently filled the program every month for many, many years. But given Easter's timings, I am probably not going to be having an intake until the 6th of May, and I only take on 5 people per month. So do get in soon if you know you want to focus and get support in your business, just as Merve did. Have a wonderful day, and like I always say, trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Women in the Coaching Arena. I have a mass of free resources on my website, joannalottcoaching.com. That's Joanna with an A and Lott with 2 T's, joannalottcoaching.com. And I'll also put links in the show notes below. Let me know if you found this episode useful, share it with a friend, and leave me a review, and I will personally thank you for that. Remember to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. Get into the arena, dare greatly, and try.